In the Dvaitavana one day, Krishna and his wife Satyabhama come to visit the Pandavas. And while the men are outside the tents creating strategies for how they are going to get the kingdom back, the women, Satyabhama and Draupadi, get to talk to each other. This forms what is called the Draupadi Satyabhama Sambada Parva, which is the conversation between Draupadi and Satyabhama. This takes a very interesting route when Satyabhama asks Draupadi how, when she is unable to handle just one husband in the form of Krishna, how does Draupadi handle five husbands? What magic does she use to control all these people? And Draupadi takes Satyabhama to task and she says, that is not the way to control your husband. The moment you think a husband is someone to be controlled, you might fall into the trap of someone who will wish ill of your husband and give you mantras or medicine which will cause harm to the husband. Instead, learn what the husbands like and behave in a manner that you are seen as a good wife. Now, some of the contents of this is somewhat inappropriate in current days, so I'm not going to get into the details. Draupadi shares some tips and tricks, so to speak, on how to manage a husband. I encourage you to go read the text for yourself and make a decision what you think about it. After this conversation, Krishna and Satyabhama just return back to Dwaravati. And that's the end of this parva. Back in Hastinapura, Duryodhana is very interested to find out how the cousins are living, how they are suffering, how they are reduced to a shell of themselves. So he asks Dushasana, when can they go and check out the plight of the Pandavas? Karna, who's also around, says, one way to do this is to go to the forest where the cows are being prepared, the cows of Hastinapura, that is, and then, in the guise of inspecting them, look around, find the Pandavas, and then kind of insult them and mock them about the plight they are suffering. Then, after seeking permission of Dhritarashtra the king, all the Kauravas and Karna, along with his son, go to the forest. As this retinue of princes is going to the forest, the servants ahead go and try to clear the path. Nearby the forest, there is a lake in which Gandharvas and their companions are bathing and having fun. These servants of Duryodhana instruct the Gandharvas that Kauravas are coming and they should immediately vacate the place and leave because the kings of this land are coming. Gandharvas are proud creatures, they are celestial and powerful. They will have none of this. All the servants who tried this lose their life because Gandharvas are very powerful as well. And because they felt insulted, these celestial beings bring together their army and attack the Kaurava army. In this, Karna loses a son and runs away. Duryodhana is captured and is about to be executed when the Pandavas who live nearby hear about this and rush to find out that their cousins have been taken captive. Yudhishthira instructs Bhima and Arjuna to help the Kauravas. After some conversation where Bhima opposes this decision of helping their enemies, they eventually get ready to do that. Between Arjuna and Bhima, they are able to defeat the Gandharvas and come face to face with King Chitrasena. Remember, Chitrasena is Arjuna's friend. Arjuna asks the Gandharva king, what happened? Why are you chastising Duryodhana? What harm has he done to you? To which Chitrasena tells him the story of how his servants insulted all the Gandharvas and expected them to vacate the lake. Now, Chitrasena and Arjuna sit together, talk to each other, and Arjuna is able to convince Chitrasena to let go of Duryodhana. Duryodhana survives and returns back to Hastinapura. But he feels so insulted that he was helped by his enemies that he says, I am going to go on a fast and die. Shakuni tries to convince him, Karna tries to convince him, Dushasana tries to convince him, Dhritarashtra tries to convince him, and it takes a lot of time for eventually the priests and the noblemen of the land to convince Duryodhana that he has to survive, he has to live. the insult can be washed away by a yagna, which is what he performs. We'll talk about a very interesting parva here. It literally contains only 16 shlokas, and when printed, takes less than a page. This is called the Mriga Swapna Bhaya Parva. In this, in the dreams of Yudhishthira, the king of the deers of the forest of Dvaitavana comes and requests him, can you please go from here? You're hunting too many deer to eat and to sacrifice, and our population is dwindling. And if you continue to stay here for your entire exile, we are all going to die and our race is going to be exterminated. Please go elsewhere. Yudhishthira wakes up and tells all his brothers and the priests with him that they are vacating the Dvaitavana and going elsewhere. And that's it. That's the smallest parva that you're going to find in Mahabharata.